Be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. He's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion. And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you. It's a busy day around the Oregon Athletic Department. Women's basketball with a huge win last night. The Oregon baseball schedule has been announced. The Oregon women's lacrosse schedule has been announced. And, of course, a press conference yesterday introducing the new leader of the Oregon football team, the 35th head coach in the history of the program, Dan Lanning, announced yesterday. If you were live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, we did the pregame show for that introductory press conference that was at 2 o'clock. And now today, for those of you tuning in to Duck Insider regularly, everything that was said during that press conference, including Rob Mullens, and we may not get to Alex Forsyth today. We will try, but likely going to get to him tomorrow. Everything that the head coach, the president of the university, and the athletic director had to say about the hiring of Dan Lanning. Of course, today you'll see a lot of details about his contract coming out, and that's a good sign, Duck fans. Before we get to that, though, Kayvon Thibodeau and Verone McKinley. Verone McKinley joined Kayvon Thibodeau as a 2021 Consensus All-American on Thursday, as both Ducks were named to the Sporting News All-America First Team. Player recognized as a Consensus All-American after being named to the first team by at least half of the 5 selectors. Walter Camp, the Football Writers Association, Associated Press, Sporting News, that one came out today. And then the Football Coaches Association one comes out tomorrow. Verone McKinley has now earned First Team All-America honors by 3 of the 4 after he was on the Football Writers Association second team. And that last one comes out tomorrow. Kayvon Thibodeau, a Consensus All-American as well, and he has a chance tomorrow to become the 4th unanimous All-American in program history if he is named to the first team by the AFCA. Thibodeau and McKinley are the 9th and 10th Consensus All-Americans ever for the Ducks, and the first pair of teammates to earn the honor in the same season since Marcus Mariota and Ifo Ekpre-Olumu did it in 2014. Michael James and Cliff Harris also were Consensus All-Americans in the same season in 2010. Pretty darn cool. Also, yesterday, Seven McGee announced that he was entering the transfer portal. Then, after talking with Coach Lanning and Don Johnson, said that he wouldn't enter the portal. Love to see it. I'm glad to hear that. Seven McGee is an awesome guy, and, man, how about that? The recruiting on display with the current team for Dan Lanning. Love to see it. As the head coach of the Ducks was introduced yesterday, and I always say that nobody cares what I think. Let's hear what Michael Shill, Rob Mullens, and Dan Lanning think about Coach Lanning taking over for the Ducks.
Well, welcome, everyone. This is a really, really exciting moment, and I'm thrilled to welcome Dan Lanning and his family to the University of Oregon family. Dan, you are joining an exceptional athletics department, a world-class university, and a wonderful community. Under Rob Mullens' leadership, Duck football is the model of excellence, creating outstanding experiences for our student athletes and consistently competing at the very highest level. We are among the best of the best. When Rob went out looking for a new coach, he sought a leader who could match the caliber of our program and then take it even further. And he found that in Coach Lanning. I have learned a lot, as all of you have, about Coach Lanning over the past week. Some of you may have come across the story in the media of how Coach Lanning sought out and landed his graduate position at the University of Pittsburgh. That measure of drive and of focus, that resonates with me. It's a prerequisite for excellence. And I'm so happy that Dan is bringing that focus to our University of Oregon football team. First and foremost, and even more important than wins and losses, is the welfare of our student athletes. As a premier academic institution, this extends to their physical safety, their academic progress, and their mental health. When I spoke with Coach Lanning on Saturday afternoon, we talked about this, and I am pleased that he shares our values and our commitments in this area. And along with our incredibly passionate Duck fans, I am so pleased to welcome Coach Lanning and full of excitement and hope for Duck football. Thank you. Rob?
Thank you all so much for joining us here in Sanders Hall on this exciting day for the University of Oregon. I want to begin by thanking President Shill and the Board of Trustees for their unwavering support of Oregon athletics and for their support during this search process. We are all so fortunate to work at a university with strong values and which is committed to excellence in every endeavor, including athletics. I also want to thank members of our staff for all of their efforts during this week, as well as the valuable input and guidance of those who love this institution and those across the country whose opinions I value. When we set out to find the next great leader for Oregon football, there were certain must-haves for our next coach. The next coach must possess a demonstrable commitment to the student athlete, high integrity and character, elite expertise in football, a championship mentality, a vision for what our program can be and the path to get us there, a commitment to this university and those who love it. As you might imagine, we believe we have one of the nation's premier head coaching jobs, and the interest was commensurate with what we offer. World-class facilities, incredibly passionate fans and supporters, a national profile, and a history of sustained success. We were thrilled to receive interest from far and wide and to speak with several candidates who met our criteria. Ultimately, Dan Lanning stood out among the rest. His commitment to his craft and his profession is striking. From small college player to high school coach, from graduate assistant to recruiting coordinator, from position coach to defensive coordinator. Dan has excelled at every opportunity at 6 different colleges. And what he has done over the last few years with the Georgia defense is beyond phenomenal. While great at both, Dan is so much more than X and O's and recruiting. What our student athletes will find is what we found in our conversations with Dan, a humble, hardworking, compassionate, energetic coach, capable of leading an elite football program. Our student athletes, our staff, and our fans will love having Dan as the leader of this program, and he will be a tremendous head coach for the University of Oregon. On behalf of Oregon Ducks everywhere, I want to welcome Dan, his wife Sophia, and their 3 sons, Caden, Niles, and Titan, to this Oregon family. And it is my honor to introduce the next head football coach at the University of Oregon, Dan Lanning.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck. You know, I've always admired this program from afar, and the only word that I can really use right now to describe this feeling is grateful. I want to personally thank Rob Mullens for putting his faith in me and giving me this incredible opportunity. There's been a shared vision throughout this process and in this organization, and for us to be successful here, Rob and my vision's aligned, and that was really key. It feels like a perfect fit. I wouldn't be here today without your commitment, your long-term vision for the building of this football program, and I know how proud you are of what Oregon can be, and I know where we're headed. To President Shill, the Board of Trustees, Mr. and Mrs. Knight, the entire community of Eugene and Oregon, I thank you. This place is special. and we were welcomed with open arms. To our former players, I am a servant to you. Whether I have coached you or not, we want you to know this is a program you can be proud of and part of. This is a place that your involvement is very important to us. We want you back. And one thing, even when you leave home, this place should always feel like home to you. I want to thank Duck Nation for welcoming my family. I've only been here for a couple of days, and I really haven't come up for air yet. But it's already starting to feel like home. I know my wife was able to go look at schools and just see the community today, which is really rewarding. I appreciate your faith in me, and I promise to repay that faith with sweat in the bucket. This place deserves that. Our staff will operate with a lunch pail mentality. We will be relentless in our pursuit of excellence, and we will be built on what we do, not what we say. Our fans and our alumni deserve a locker room that's full of players and coaches that are proud to wear green. I can promise you we will have that. I was so fortunate in my career to have so many unique opportunities that also happened to uniquely prepare me for this opportunity, this exceptional opportunity. I want to give a special thanks to Kirby Smart and his wife, Mary Beth, at the University of Georgia for believing in me and giving me an opportunity. He was so critical in my growth as a coach and has prepared me for this as I sit here today. Every day as an assistant coach, every day as a graduate assistant, every day as a recruiting coordinator, whatever hat I wore, I always wore that hat knowing I was preparing for the next job. And that's no different today. Maybe most importantly, and also just as important, I want to thank my former players. I think we know that they're a huge reason I'm standing here today. There's no secret. They provided great opportunities for me throughout my career, and I've had the pleasure of coaching some phenomenal players over the past year. For me, it's been really clear. It's always been about the players. They're the only thing that matters. The players make this thing tick. And I want every one of my former players to know, first off, that I love you, and secondly, that I'll be here for you forever and always. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Sophia, my rock. It's hard for you to realize the sacrifices that your family deal with in the coaching world. And Sophia's been our head coach at home for so long, and she's worn so many hats and done so many so many important things for our family to show her support. And it's crazy to think that our journey together started about 16 years ago at Outback Steakhouse. I was a server and she was a to-go girl. And next thing you know, we're sitting here at Oregon. But I love you. I admire your strength. And I thank you. To my kids, Caden, Niles, and Titan, I'm so thrilled to be the head coach of the University of Oregon, but I've never been more proud of anything than to be your dad. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. Why I coach? Ultimately, this is about the game that I love. My heart beats faster when I say the word football. That's the way that I truly believe. I feel strongly about that. And coaches in football have poured so much into me. And I just feel like I owe it to the game to be able to pour it back. Why Oregon? First most, the Oregon players. There is a team here that I feel really strong about. There's an alignment here that I feel really strong about. The resources, the support from the administration, the fact that this place is a perennial winner. Eugene and his community, its fan base, and a place that I can say I'm going to be proud to raise my family. A place that takes tremendous pride in their program. Those things all matter to me. I want to be really clear. My job here is to build a winner. And this is not going to be a one-hit wonder. Okay? We have to build this the right way. It takes every single one of us. This program is staged to compete and to win championships. We won't shy from expectations, and our goal is to compete for national championships here, but I won't sit here and spend all my time talking about national championships. We're going to be methodical in our approach. We're going to focus on the process, okay? We're going to compete to a standard every day, the Oregon standard. We will build on the foundation that has already been established here, and we'll create those championship teams. But just as important as creating championship teams, We're going to create championship fathers. We're going to create championship husbands. We're going to create championship men that the University of Oregon and our alumni and fan base can be proud of. None of this happens overnight, and it certainly won't happen because of one person. Over time, together, we will build this program to sustain success. The foundation for sustained success will be built on connection. Connection that will attack recruiting, player support, player development. These three things seem simple, but these three things are going to take all of us. It will take all of us, and I mean all of us. I'm talking coaches, fan base, alumni, donors, former players, academic support, professors, trainers, sports science, strength coaches, recruiting department, ops department, everyone from our local and our global community. No stone can be unturned in order for us to recreate what I know we can create at the University of Oregon. On offense, defense, and special teams, we will attack. The word passive will not exist in our system. We will apply pressure and move on the field with aggressive but disciplined approach. Our offense and defensive scheme will be desirable to play in. We're going to develop our players in this system. They're going to grow, and they're going to be able to achieve every one of their goals individually through our team success. Most importantly, we're going to have schemes that support our ability to win football games. And that's our plan here. We're going to do that by signing elite football players and developing those players to the best of their ability to maximize their strengths. Sustained success means having a vision and a laid out plan. We want to be progressive, effective, and united. We will assess every facet of our program to avoid being stagnant. Our approach throughout the organization will be built on being lifelong learners. We're going to be willing to be on the cutting edge. We're going to be willing to change. We're always going to strive to hire the brightest and the best to be a part of our staff. And together, we will work to have our players leave this university in the best versions of themselves. As our staff, we're going to approach everything in the way we do it that's going to give us a competitive edge. We're going to move forward with our program on relying on some old school principles, some tough edge, right, but building hard work, dedication, and toughness, right, with a creative approach. I'm a strong believer in a couple things, but one of the things I truly believe is it really doesn't matter what you know as a coach. I'm going to play 0 snaps for the University of Oregon next year, right? It's really more about what our players know and what they can execute. So we're going to build this staff with teachers. Our program will not be defined by one action or one principle, more about the 1,000 little decisions that we make every single day. Sound results created through sound process. We will use every resource necessary to recruit and develop players. The first line of support will be our position coaches. Our position coaches will lean heavily on the strong support that we have supplied to them by the resources here at Oregon. We're going to be givers, right? We're going to be built on servant leadership. I'm so excited to see the impact not only our players have on the field, but our players have in the community with our giving approach, with our opportunity to give back. Our young men deserve resources and a gracious support that will provide to them. We will always tell them what is necessary, not always what they want to hear, right? But they deserve that. They deserve a staff that's honest, and they deserve a staff that's always doing their best to make them better. We will grind. We will grind our way to the top, and we will grind together. It will take a ton of work, and our staff will take a humble and hungry approach, and it will take everyone within this university to get there. When we ultimately win here, it's going to be because our fan base. It's going to be because of our home field advantage at Austin Stadium. It's going to be because of the pulse that's created on 4th down in the 4th quarter when it matters the most. And it's going to be about everyone. I mean, it's going to be about the walk-on that sneaks out there on the punt team and blocks the kick. It's going to be about the coach that's able to touch our player and reach his heart and get him to give a little bit more. It's going to be about the academic counselor that's there in the academic resource building and able to pour into our players and give a little bit more so they can finish that degree here at the University of Oregon, right? And we're going to pour. We're definitely going to pour. But I'll tell you this. Lastly, I want everyone to know one thing. Don't be afraid to chase your dream. There isn't a dream too big. And if you have a hunger and a passion to do something, don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. In fact, let that fuel you. Because I can speak as a person who's blessed beyond measure to right here, sit here and know that my dreams have become reality. And your dreams can become reality too if you're willing to hunt. Thank you so much. Proud to be your head coach. Thrilled to be here at the University of Oregon.
Great stuff from Dan Lanning. That was the introductory period of the press conference. And when we come back, the Q&A. We got a lot more to come. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We continue with everything that was said during yesterday's introductory press conference. Now the Q&A portion of Dan Lanning being introduced as the Oregon football head coach.
You've got a lot to do, and you're also preparing for a playoff game. Just how do you operate here, back in Georgia, just your next couple of days of what you do, and how do you get your staff ready to go?
I'm willing to negotiate for some more hours in the day. We're running out of hours, but first off, I'll say there's tremendous support here at the University of Oregon. I'm fortunate enough that there's tremendous support there at Georgia for this approach. I feel like I owe it to our players there, and excited to be a part of that process. The college football playoffs is certainly unique, but you just work. And it's the only thing I know how to do is roll up my sleeves and work. I think we've been here. We landed right around 12 yesterday, and we're going to continue to work. The first thing I said to Rob is, how quick can you get me to the office? I want to meet these players. I want to get around our team. So that's where it starts for me. And I'm going to, again, I said servant leadership. That's where it starts. I owe it to our players to give them my best every single day.
What's your view of what the Pac-12 has been, is, and can be?
I'm fortunate enough to be coming back to this league, spending some time at Arizona State, and there's always been some premier teams here, but Oregon's certainly always been one of them that's had my eye from a national attention, but from what they do and how innovative they are. I'm excited to see where this is going with the Pac-12. There's some great football teams here. I think it's been reinvigorated, this league, and we're going to compete at the highest level, and I know that there's going to be some really tough games in this league that I'm excited to prepare for.
I guess just for starters, why are you ready for this? You're 35 years old, never been a head coach. Why now, and why are you confident in your ability to do it at a school like Oregon, which is aspiring for big things?
Well, I hate to cut you off, but I've been a head coach before. When I was in high school, I coached the third grade basketball team, and we were damn good. I mean, we were good. But no, more importantly than that, I like to speak to quality of experience, and I don't think there's very many coaches that can sit up here and speak to the quality of experience of working for guys like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Mike Norvell. And like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. Both my parents were teachers, so my approach in coaching has always been, if you're not learning, you're not getting better. And I pour into that every single day. I believe if I'm not getting better, then I'm getting worse. And I've continued to learn whatever seat I've sat in. I've been detailed in my approach and what I've watched and how they've done it. And I've always said to myself, how would I do it if I was in that seat? So I think, again, the quality of that experience for me is what has made it special.
You've had some stops at some really storied programs, Alabama, obviously, Georgia now. Curious, what are some of those lessons that you've been able to take from those stops that you think are going to really help you get going here at Oregon?
Really building back on that lifelong learner approach, whether it be Kirby, Smart, or Nick, or Saban, any of the coaches I've been around, the best coaches I've been around are willing to adapt, willing to reassess, whether it be the way we do a walkthrough or what hotel we stay in before a game. We're going to quality control everything we do in this program, and we're going to make sure that we find the best approach. That'll carry over to the weight room, that'll carry over to the football field, that'll carry over to the meals we feed our team. So every piece of that I think is really important, and every detail matters. That's one thing I've definitely taken from those places.
What would you say in terms of in the last 24, 48 hours, how much of that has resonated with you of the journey when you talk about that there's a plan and that you meant to get here? How much of that hit you on either the plane ride or in the last 24, 48 hours at night?
Yeah, thanks, James. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. And I know I have so many coaches that pour into me that could be standing here today that certainly would do a phenomenal job. But the school, I was actually an elementary PE teacher, so it was Union Chapel Elementary is where I finished that day. I started that morning at Park Hill South High School. We had weight room that day. So ran the weight room in the morning, went and taught some elementary, scooter tag, PE class. And I don't know if there was any dodgeball that day or not, and then hopped in the car and drove to Pittsburgh and was certainly the beginning of a great opportunity. But I think anytime you have a long journey, it gives you time to think and process. And my family's journey, my journey as a coach, has certainly been a privilege, and there's been a lot of time to reminisce along the way.
I imagine you had a ton of interest from a lot of different schools. What was it about Oregon that really stood out and made you want to make this decision?
First, the ability to win. Our players, and again, I keep going back to the vision. Being in great places do create great opportunities. So I knew I could be picky, and it's a blessing to be able to be picky in this situation. But Oregon provides everything that I know you need as a coach to be successful in college football. And I wouldn't care if I was playing checkers against Titan right now. I'm going to beat them, right? And I wanted to be in a place where I knew we could compete and we could win. And Oregon has that. And there's great players and a great foundation. I was excited about the talent here. And now that I've been here, I'm more excited about the players and the character of men on our team. And I can't wait. I still haven't got to sit down and have a conversation with every one of them. But that's appealing, and that's why this made sense.
As a defensive coordinator, what team would you say in your experience has been the most difficult or most innovative to prepare for? And, despite a 10-2 season this year, a lot of fans are saying we're not creative enough on offense. So you're going to be more creative possibly, and what was that team that was difficult for you?
Well, there's been several teams that I've played in my career that are difficult, but ultimately I think teams that can have a balanced approach but attacks weaknesses, that attacks every ounce and inch of the field, that's really going to be important for us. The number one indicator right now in college football of wins and losses is explosive plays. So we're going to be a team that's built off of explosive plays in offense, defense, and special teams, right? And you have to be able to push the ball down the field. You have to be able to attack in the air and on the ground. That's definitely going to be part of our approach here.
There's a lot going on for signing day, games prepping for bowls. You're now hiring a staff. Just the process in that of finding guys that you like and getting them here. What are you looking for, and just the timeline you'd like to have some guys hired?
It's a great question. In my opinion, right's more important than fast. So we're going to be right. We're going to be right in our approach when it comes to hiring staff. We're going to be right in our approach when it comes to bringing players into our program. And we have to move quick, right? And we have to be efficient, but it doesn't mean we have to make a wrong decision. So we have time. There's unlimited resources here at this place, and there's really good people in this organization that we can lean on. And that's what you have to be willing to do, is you have to delegate, find the right people to lean on, and you have to have some people that are patient and ready to hear from us. So that's where it starts.
I doubt you were aware of this on Friday night, Dan, but the very, very passionate portion of this fan base took part on Twitter in a conversation that your brother dropped in on. When did you become aware of that? And just what he basically sold you to a very passionate portion of about 2,000 plus people on Twitter on Friday night, and that really resonated, and that really captivated a lot of this fan base in the last 48 hours.
So I didn't know about that. In fact, we were talking right before I walked in this room, and I was, briefed on that. And if that got me the job, man, I owe him, some help. But I'll tell you this, I love my family, and I know my family loves me. So that's exciting to know that he was in there battling for me. I'm learning more and more about these Twitter space deals. I don't know a ton about it, but I haven't had a chance to really look up. As soon as I got here, it started here in that office, and I haven't got to leave much beyond being around our players. So thrilled that my brother could do that. That's exciting, but I didn't know a lot about it until just before we came in the room. In fact, sorry, just to build off that, I still haven't called my parents to tell them I took the job at Oregon yet. So to give you an idea, I'll be making a call to my brother soon, but I haven't, that hasn't hit there yet.
I hope that by now, as this was from yesterday's press conference, that he has made those phone calls, but he's a busy guy, working 2 jobs essentially right now. And I think, look, I like this. I'm glad that, for example, he gets the chance to finish out with his current team in the college football playoff in Georgia, and similarly, all of Oregon's staff members, apart from Coach Cristobal, are here finishing out the bowl game with the Ducks. That's important. I think that's the way that it should be, is my personal opinion. When we come back, we're going to hear more from that Q&A portion with Dan Lanning, introduces the new Oregon football leader here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Toyota-thon is on at your local Toyota dealer. Treat yourself to great deals on the sleek first ever 2022 Corolla Cross or the powerful all-new 2022 Tundra. It's all happening right now during Toyota-thon. Toyota, let's go places.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Toyota-thon is on at your local Toyota dealer. Treat yourself to great deals on the sleek first ever 2022 Corolla Cross or the powerful all-new 2022 Tundra. It's all happening right now during Toyota-thon. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We continue hearing from Coach Lanning. He's the man that everybody wants to hear about and get to know. Part 2 of the Q&A portion of the press conference, introducing Dan Lanning as the head coach.
Going back to James's first question about that 13-hour drive to Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, where does that sort of motivation, relentlessness come from?
I think I've always been fortunate enough to recognize opportunity. And there was a spark beyond that, but to start that 13-hour drive, there were several years of sending letters out to schools and an approach of me trying to break my foot into the door. And what sparked the 13-hour drive was a phone call that Keith Patterson gave me before that drive to say, hey, there might be a chance. And that's kind of where it was left. There might be a chance. And the fact that there might be a chance was enough of a chance for me to say, I'm going to get in my car and go get the job. And again, I've said it to my players. People have heard me say it before, but if you do something that you're passionate enough, you'll never feel like you work a day in your life. And that's why you get into a car to drive 13 hours to go sit in front of a coaching staff that you might not have an opportunity with. But the fact that you might, that's enough for me.
As you've advanced throughout your career, like, how did you prepare yourself to take on like this type of executive role? And then talking about something like specific, like hiring, like what did you learn from people that you had been around that you're taking with you into how you're going to go about putting together your staff?
Yeah, I think you have to be, so many people are quick to talk and so slow to listen. I think you have to be a great listener and really take your time and be diligent. So when I was a graduate assistant at Arizona State, I started my list of potential coaches that I would hire. It's just, you have that, iPhone has that notes category, and I started putting notes in then for what, if I ever got my opportunity, what would that look like? But that doesn't mean that you have to sprint to make that decision the day you get here. You have to get here and assess this situation. There's some phenomenal coaches here right now and players and support staff that I want to get to know, that I want to be able to build relationships with. So that's important to me. But, again, I think that detailed approach starts from the beginning of becoming an education for a coach for me, where it started as a GA, as a high school wide receiver coach. I think that's where it starts.
What has been, this might be more of a question for your family, but what has been your initial thoughts here on Eugene and the community around here?
Yeah, I've been in this building a bunch, but thrilled. I think I can speak for my wife and kids when I say the opportunity. I've seen a lot of smiles on their face. I got back to the hotel room relatively late last night, and maybe the most exciting thing for me was to see my three boys lumped up on the fold-out couch there in the living room, and they were already knocked out. But these guys are three best friends, and my family's a really important piece for me. Getting here and my wife's support. So the fact that we were able to get here and people are so helpful, open arms, willing to take us wherever we need to go, whether it be getting something to eat or going to check out a school or seeing the community, that's invigorating and exciting to me.
Just going to follow up on your talking about building a staff. You had a note. Do you still have those preliminary names? And why did they stand out, I guess, to begin with? And how big of a reach do you feel like you have? You've stopped at a bunch of different schools. I know you're young, but how helpful is that? And just, I guess, prior work experience instruct you at all with where you want to go with these hires?
Well, the list is long, and there's so many people who would be a great fit here for the University of Oregon, but I also know you can't hire every single person at the University of Oregon. So there's a special fit. There's a unique approach. And I think that, like I said, you have to be detailed. You have to take your time to get it right. I still have that list. And names have been added and names have been subtracted throughout the process of my growth as a coach. But I think you always lean on that experience and your time around people.
Finishing up this recruiting class and working with the staff who's currently still here ahead of signing day, what contact do you intend to have the next couple of days with those recruits and commits who had perhaps decommitted over the last week, but also your recruiting philosophy, Dan, in terms of this has been previously more of a regional situation. The last 4 or 5 years has been much more national, as I'm sure you're well aware. So what is your own approach in terms of how to leverage this brand on a national level and get the kind of blue chip, percentages that's needed to win a national championship?
Well, to be really clear, we're going to recruit the best. And there's the brand of Oregon has never been stronger. And we can go into any home and we can go attack and sign the best players here at the University of Oregon. That approach is not going to be a fast approach. That approach doesn't just happen on Wednesday, right? And it's going to start with the players on this team currently. It's the same thing I told our players yesterday. It starts with the guys that are here. Now, my phone is plugged in to answer your question, and it's going to be ringing, and I'm going to be on it from here all the way until signing day. I'm looking forward to connecting with every single person associated with our recruiting class. I know there's some really strong players in here that I'm extremely excited about, and that communication has definitely already started, but looking forward to building and strengthening those relationships. But we can go get any player in the nation with this place, with our resources. So I'm excited to do that, and that'll be our approach. If the best player's 5 minutes away, then we're going to go get the best player that's 5 minutes away. If the best player is 13 hours away, then we're going to go 13 hours away to get the best player.
Coach, I believe you mentioned your vision and the administration's visions kind of aligning. And just to go big picture, obviously this is your first day on the job, but when people look at the Dan Lanning era of Oregon football, what do you think they want to be? You want that to be remembered for?
You know, I want our impact to be felt beyond just the playing field. Obviously, we want to take care of wins and losses, but I want them to be able to look and say this is a program that they're proud of, players and coaching staff that they're proud of, guys that took a hand-in-hand approach. This is a partnership for me and this university and our team. This isn't a one-man show, and I want our program to be known for what we did for each other and how we served.
If you're able to accomplish the goals that you're setting out for yourself, there are a lot of fans that are scared that they'll just be here in this same situation again 3-4 years down the road. Like, how do you go about kind of a step like building that trust within like a community that has seen the last two coaches leave after they've had success?
You know, ultimately, I said the same thing to our players yesterday. I'm not asking for you to trust me. I'm asking for an opportunity to earn your trust. But I also say my situation is unique. If William Jewell College comes calling, I love William Jewell College, but I'm staying at Oregon. And I'm going to stay at Oregon as long as I can stay at Oregon, as long as Oregon will have me. And look, this is there is no other for me. This is a premier job in the nation, not just this league, in the nation. And again, it was going to take a premier job for me to leave the situation I was in. So I'm thrilled to be here because I know what we can do here. There doesn't have to be a next step for me. This job can be the final step.
You probably took a look at the schedule, I'm assuming, for this next season, and there's a game that you know is early in the season that you might have noticed. Did you have a conversation with Kirby about playing him?
You know, we haven't talked about it specifically yet. What an opportunity, right? What an opportunity. You know, we're thrilled to compete, and again, it doesn't matter what we're doing. We're excited to go on the field and bang heads any chance we get. And guess what? That's going to look the same way on Tuesday when you go to practice for us. Right? We're going to compete not just on Saturdays. We're going to compete in the classroom the same way we compete in the field. Okay? But to speak to that approach, I think Kirby's got a lot on his mind right now. I promise you I got a lot on my mind, and neither one of us are probably thinking about that game. There's a lot of steps between now and that process to get there, but I can promise you we'll be ready once we do.
Awesome stuff, man, hearing from Dan Lanning. I really enjoyed everything that he had to say. You heard the Q&A there, and we're going to hear a lot more from the new Oregon football head coach. But when we come back, let's hear a bit from what Rob Mullens had to say. He met with the media in addition to his conversation that you heard with us on the show yesterday. Going to hear a little bit from the AD when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment, seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. Let's hear a little bit from Rob Mullens, the Oregon Athletic Director. After the introductory press conference, he met with some members of the media as well. We probably won't get to Rob's entire press conference today, but want to let you listen in on a little bit of his thoughts about the hiring of Dan Lanning.
Well, Rob, take us through the process a little bit, particularly Friday and Saturday in terms of timeline, because there were the reports Friday afternoon that complicated some things, I'm sure.
Sure.
So just provide a degree of clarity,
Sure.
because there are people in Georgia who insist that this was done at about 2 o'clock.
Right. Well, obviously, you rewind a week, and we're in this room, talking to players and making sure we get them situated, because Mario's telling them that he's leaving, and our priority was to get them settled, to find an interim coach, and put together a plan to make sure those young people have a great bowl experience. So we cranked it up on Tuesday, and then you spend the next few days, getting interviews scheduled, doing Zooms, doing all kinds of background check. You lose track of time, and then, as you said, on Friday and Saturday it comes down. So for us with Dan, it was a funny story actually. So late Friday night, I reach out to Dan, and we've been talking off and on throughout the day, and then we just start getting down to the details. The final few questions, and then he was in the middle of a recruiting weekend at his current job, but just always accessible. So then we started to talk to his representation, but they happened to be in Memphis. And if you remember Friday night, there's a tornado coming through Memphis, so they were in a bunker. So we got the initial conversation started Friday, but then they couldn't communicate because of the bunker, and so then we picked it up early Saturday and just hammered out the details.
In terms of the terms, I know it'll be to the board tomorrow, but in terms of years and dollars?
Yeah, we'll do it at the board tomorrow.
What did you see in a coach that hadn't had any head coach experience to feel comfortable this was the right guy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he has some really unique experiences in a blueprint that's proven successful in college football. And I think at the end for us, he articulates a clear plan that kind of has three things. And there's alignment between strategy and culture, which is really important, and he knows how to add the right people and talent and then put all that together at the end of the day. And he's been a part of really high-level championship programs.
It's the first time since '77, Rich Brooks, that you've hired a defensive-minded head coach. I know you haven't made all of those hires, but was that just happenstance, or was that?
No, we wanted to find the best leader for Oregon football. And I happen to be a huge fan of Rich Brooks and all that he's accomplished and having worked with him. So that worked out pretty darn good for getting Oregon football on the roll. So listen, Dan knows how all three phases fit together. He knows how to make it all fit and how to make it all work. And, he knows how to put the staff, build a recruiting plan. And we're kind of already 4 years into a very similar blueprint.
There was that letter that was signed by the 14 Duck football alums talking about the Oregon way and not wanting the program to lose its identity. Have you had any conversations with them since you received that letter last week? What was their role in some of this process and the discussion about getting to this point?
Well, you might imagine I received a lot of input, not just one letter. So I received a lot of emails from all different constituents, fans, donors, current players, players' parents, former players. And so I did talk to Joey last week. He sent me that letter and shared his passion with me, and talked to some others as well. And so I think everybody wants the same thing, right? They want Oregon football to be successful. And they're very proud of what they've committed to this program, the success that we've had, and we all share that same goal.
Did you feel that what they were asking for was at least reassured, if not alleviated, when Dan was hired? Have you had conversations with them?
Yeah,
since?
I mean, I talked to a number of them after, and everyone seems really pleased. I've talked to current players, players' parents, former players in different capacities, and everyone's thrilled about what Dan brings to the leadership of Oregon football.
Rob, what happens with the $9 million from Miami and really effectively 10 because of what Mario earned, but you're not paying out. So where does that get allocated? How is that appropriated?
Yeah, it gets allocated to our department. There's a lot of transition costs. So that's obviously not free and clear. We may have some buyouts to pay for coaches and staff that we don't retain. Obviously, all the transition costs of buyouts we may have to pay, moving expenses. So I'm not quite clear where it'll net out. But coming out of the pandemic, we can use whatever net revenue we can get.
But does that go? Really, again, was that going more to departmental first before? Is that at Dan's disposal, basically?
No, we don't. That's not how we monitor our funds.
Okay.
We everything is in the athletic department revenue and athletic department expenses. Obviously, we allocate it accordingly. We're making a significant investment in football, as we always have, and we will continue to do that.
Who is still on this staff right now? Specifically, I ask about Alex Mirabal and Aaron. Obviously, we saw Aaron Felt, but there's obviously been the reports that they have been. Well, Alex was actively recruiting in Miami.
Yeah, he was, but Alex asked. He has a real commitment to his student athletes. He has a great connection, and he wanted to finish out what he started with this group, and we welcomed him back to coach for the bowl game. So I think everybody's. I'm just thinking bowl game wise, the staff is extremely committed to finishing the season. The commitment they made to the student athletes. We were able to go to the Fiesta Bowl, but it wasn't a true bowl experience. And so we're a year into a process of trying to get back to normal and these student athletes to have an experience. So, Ken Wilson, got a tremendous opportunity at University of Nevada. He's staying through. Coach DeRuiter, Coach Yates, they're all still here coaching these young men through the bowl.
I like that. And I talked with Rob Mullens about that very thing yesterday on the show, that I think that's the way that it should be. You can go and move on with the next portion of your career, but I think finish up with the current student athletes. I like that. I think that's how it should be. We'll have more from Rob Mullens and a little bit from Alex Forsyth on the show tomorrow for you as well. But I want to take a quick time out. When we come back, women's basketball got back to their winning ways in a big-time way over the last few games. We're going to talk about that coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too. Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too. Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/one small step. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here inside the Country Financial Studio. Oregon women's basketball with a highlight reel kind of performance against McNeese State last night. 109-38. Elise Hurst scored her 1,000th career point. 6 Ducks were in double figures, the lowest opponent field goal percentage allowed since 2007, and the second 70-point win under Kelly Graves, which is pretty incredible. It was also the ugly sweater game, so I'm not saying that it was because of the ugly sweaters. but it could be because of the ugly sweaters. Kelly Graves had some good things to say post-game. I want to let you listen in on a little bit of his conversation with the media after a big win, and good to see it for the Ducks.
Yeah, it was a fun game. We haven't seen north of 70 in a long time, and we finally saw the basketball go in the hoop a little bit. I thought the intensity right from the start was pretty good. Defensively, got on them a little bit, forced some turnovers, got some runouts, easy baskets. We moved the ball, 33 assists tonight. We've had some great passing teams over the years. I'm not sure if we ever had 33. I don't know. Creppy is always on that pretty quickly. But, I thought a good start. And, and I thought the bench came in and did a pretty good job, too. And second half, we didn't get as good a start. And went with the old wholesale substitution. You don't see that very often. But it worked. I thought that second unit came in and did a great job and got us rolling, and then the starters came back in and played much better.
Was ball movement and just sharing it and getting good looks a focal point? Because I think you had 11 to 12 baskets, just starting 10 assists on those, and you guys were moving around pretty good.
That's the way we've played. We don't get the type of players that just attack the basket off the dribble. We've never been that way. We when we're efficient and passing well, that's when we're at our best. That was really nice to see tonight.
Good stuff, man, from Kelly Graves. I think a happy coach wearing a nice sweater as well. The Ducks will be hitting the road, and it sounds like India Rogers is going to be back for the Ducks next game. They're going to be hitting the road, though, to a tough matchup against Kansas State in the Little Apple on Saturday. Yeah. Terry Johns will, of course, have the call for you for their Midwest road trip. But it sounds like Niara Sabali is working her way back as well. Good news, of course. I say all that. We'll see what happens over the next few days. A lot can change on the injury front. Mentioned at the top of the show, Oregon baseball will play a 56-game regular season schedule in 2022. 23 of those games are coming against teams that qualified for the NCAA tournament last year. The full 2022 schedule is now available on GoDucks.com. Then Mark Wasikowski called it a very strong and exciting schedule, featuring 35 games at beautiful PK Park, which is undergoing considerable offseason upgrades designed to enhance the fan experience, the field of play, and the beauty of the overall facility. That's right, we're going to debut a little bit of a facelift to PK Park coming up for you all when the Ducks are at home for the first time in that new-look PK Park against St. John's on February 25th. Oregon opens its season at San Diego on February 18th. I will be doing as many Oregon baseball games as possible, but of course that depends on the men's basketball season, and well, we hope the men's basketball season lasts an awful long time through the month of March. That's my plan anyway. Oregon women's lacrosse also will play a 16-game schedule during the 22 season, including 8 home games at Pape Field. Head coach Chelsea Hoffman announcing it today. Ducks will open the season with a February 12th home game against George Mason. Oregon's conference opener will be March 11th at Arizona State, and the Pac-12 tournament slated for May 4th through 7th this year. Full schedule available on GoDucks.com. What a day. Busy time. See you tomorrow, everybody.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace.